Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to episode 6 of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. Make sure you go back to the channel and check out any of the previous 5 episodes if you haven't done so already. And before we get into today's episode, please make sure you smash the likes on the video and subscribe to the channel before you start watching. Delighted to be joined by Lewis again, as always. There's plenty to get into in today's episode. We're going to start off with a little bit of contract news, a little bit of transfer news. Obviously, coming out today that Jorginho, for a new contract, wants a bit of a raise on his 120k that he's currently on. He's been offered a new contract, or has been discussions at it, in and around the 120k mark that he's already on. He wants 150k to be on par with what Azpilicueta's paid. Personally, like, taking aside him as a player, I think it's actually fair for him to demand the same as Azpilicueta. I think right now he's more valuable to Chelsea than Azpi is, in terms of he offers more on the pitch and Azpilicueta doesn't at the moment. It's really a more important member of the squad playing wise. So I don't think it's unreasonable for him to ask for a bit of a pay rise. And 150k, yeah, okay, it's a lot of money, but in football, in terms at Chelsea, that's not a particularly high earner. And obviously, you know, ideally we'd like him to probably move on, but we're not going to be able to get in all the midfield targets we want. So for me personally, I don't think it would be a disaster if he ended up staying. And I don't think it's outrageous for him to ask for 30k more either. I mean, Lewis, what are your thoughts on this Jorginho contract?
I'm fine with it, personally. I wouldn't offer it at this point in the season because I do want to see him, like, how he plays over the next few games. And if he continues his form, reward it. But I get there has to be soon as well, because the World Cup's coming up and after 6 months he can negotiate with other clubs outside of England. So I get that. In terms of the demands, like, everyone usually rejects the first contract offer because that's how they open up negotiations. It happened with Mount, James, Mendy, Kante, all of them. They always do it. So I don't see anything negative about that. If he's only asking for 150k a week, we don't have a DM anyway. And I think if we're talking about starting Jorginho, then it makes perfect sense to put him on that contract. The likes of Pulisic, Havertz, Kepa are all on the same wage, and he's done more than all of them. So I think he deserves a contract based on that. Chilwell's on 200k a week, and he's not asking for that sort of wage. He's asking for 150k a week. So I think a 30k extension is fair, especially seeing as Azpi got the same thing. He got a 30k extension in the summer. So it's completely fair that he asked for that. In terms of even phasing him out, like, Jorginho's already shown in games like the Aston Villa game on Sunday, that he can do well off the bench coming on to kill off games. And I've always said that's a great role for him if you're looking to phase him out the squad, because he's always good at slowing down play, helping recycle possession and keep it as well. And if you want to kill games off, that's exactly what you need, especially if you're trying to slow down the opposition's counterattacks and everything. So I don't see anything against it. I think it's a fair offer. All depends on the contract length. I don't know if he's asking for 3+1 or anything mad. If it's a 2-year deal, do it. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, no, mate, I agree with you. I really don't think it's that bad of a deal to do for Chelsea. I know, yeah, of course, you know, you want the Bellinghams, you want the Rices, you want the Edson Alvarez, maybe Enzo Fernandez at Benfica. You know, you want these big names, but we're not going to be able to get them all. So, you know, you've got to look at what you've got already. And, you know, if we add 1 or 2, which I'm sure we will, as you said, keeping Jorginho in kind of a rotational role, bringing him in off the bench, slowly phasing him out. I think on a 2-year deal for 150k, I think that you could do a lot worse. And I don't think, you know, we should just get rid of players for the sake of it. Obviously, it's going to be down to him as well, whether he wants to stay. Does he want to go and have a new challenge somewhere else? You know, his agent always goes on about wanting to return to Serie A and whatnot, but then he has been reiterating that his preference is to stay at Chelsea. So who really knows? But yeah, I agree with you, mate. I don't think it's a big problem if he stays, and on that money, I think that's perfectly fair. But let's move on to a bit of transfer news. Coming out today that apparently Todd Boehly is really keen and wants to sign Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. Now, you know, we've seen Chelsea sign players from Arsenal before in the past, the likes of Cesc Fabregas, Giroud and whatnot, having success and winning trophies at the club. Ashley Cole, we just signed Aubameyang as well. Hopefully he'll have some success. Obviously, it's going to be very, very difficult to get Bukayo Saka out of Arsenal. But what I like about Boehly is the fact that he'll be prepared to try anyway. So I think that's the kind of gutsy, you know, shows a bit of balls, and you know what, you might as well try because it's going to be a no anyway. So you might as well find out find out it's a no. So, I mean, look, I think he'd fit in well at Chelsea, but I personally can't see it happening. But do you admire Bowley sort of going for these kind of moves? And would you be for a Saka to Chelsea move?
That would be funny, bro. Imagine we already took one star boy in Amari Hutchinson. We take another in Saka. That would be unreal levels of trolling. But I don't believe it. I think if anything, it's probably coming out of Saka's camp just to push contract negotiations. It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. I would take him every day of the week. I would take him every day ending in a Y. I would bring him to Chelsea Football Club. Quality player, brilliant talent. I don't mind saying that, even though he's an Arsenal player, but it's so unrealistic. So unrealistic. If Bowley's serious about it, do it. It'll be funny. Let's test their resolve. It'll be a laugh. But I don't think it would happen. Nah.
No, I don't think so either. But, you know, as you say, all you can do is try. So we might as well try it. But yeah, I think give it a go. Why not? I mean, I don't really think there's a lot of legs to it, if we're being perfectly honest. You know, we've seen things like this before. I mean, it's probably the equivalent of Arsenal preparing a move to try and sign Mason Mount. It just isn't going to happen. But you know, you give it a go, and you, as you say, you just never know in football. But I mean, sticking with transfers as well. Trossard at Brighton, that kind of doesn't seem to be going away. Obviously, the obvious links of Graham Potter. I think he's actually out of contract at the end of this season. It's a player that Potter admires. You often see managers kind of go back to their former clubs and perhaps pick a few of the better players there. I like Trossard. Obviously, he's got a hat-trick at Anfield this season. He kind of played in that hybrid wing-back role under Potter, like a lot higher up the pitch, though, like we saw Sterling play in that first game against Salzburg. Like, for a cheap fee in January, I wouldn't be dead against this. I mean, I'm not saying we desperately need him, but I think it would be good business, potentially, with Pulisic and Ziyech looking likely they're probably going to both move on in the summer. I know we've got Nkunku coming, and we might look to bring in other players in that position, maybe a Rafa Leao. But, you know, Havertz could be moved on at the end of the season if his poor form continues. You know, there are spaces there. I mean, what would your thoughts on a move for Trossard be?
I'd be surprised if we do it in January, because this makes so much sense that we could easily just sit back and just let the contract run out and just take him for free. Like, we already know he fits Graham Potter's style of play, goes without saying. I think he'd be good in terms of bringing creativity to our squad. Just looked impressive every time I've seen him. Only looks to be improving as a player. If we get better options, he becomes a squad option, and that improves our depth as a whole. And he's free. If we just wait till the summer, he's free. And there will be other options, but I don't know if he'd take a lot of persuading to come to Chelsea. Having a manager that he literally thrived under, he would definitely trust with his future. He would be upgrading to a bigger club as well. Probably wouldn't have to move that far either. It makes sense, but I think we just sit back and just let his contract run out, because I'd be very surprised if we didn't get him. I would.
I mean, look, he'll allow other suitors, of course. I mean, I'm not saying that some of them will be as attractive a proposition as Chelsea, but I think, you know, you always run the risk with letting a contract down that you can negotiate with, obviously, foreign teams. And I'd imagine some top teams in potentially Spain or Italy may be interested in looking at his services. We've seen that Bowley is prepared to move early and perhaps pay a bit more in order to get a deal done, like with Nkunku. So I could see a situation like that occurring. But as you say, I think it adds good depth to the squad. It's Premier League experience, and it's a player that the manager knows inside out. He knows the manager's tactics. Obviously, it'll take him a little bit of time, you know, to settle into Chelsea, a different way of playing for a better team, playing with a better quality of player. He perhaps wouldn't stand out as much as he does at Brighton, but I think there's talent there. There's ability. He's proven he can do it. And I think it ticks all the boxes. It's almost too smart a deal for Chelsea to do. But I think under Bowley, like, I think we might maybe having to get used to doing business in a smarter way and actually doing business in a better way than we have done in the past. But yeah, I think it's one that would excite me. Maybe January, but as I say, like, if we can convince him, then you might as well wait to sign him on a free. But at the same time, you got to play it right in terms of you don't want to risk it going to a bit of an auction on as a free agent, because then you can pick whoever you want. So you've got to be careful there. But yeah, I'd definitely be excited for it. But I mean, moving away from kind of transfers, contracts, matters on the pitch. Things are going well. 5 wins in a row, 4 clean sheets in a row. At Villa on Sunday, we were both there. We ground out that result. Villa battered us for most, well, for the majority of that first half. Second half, not as much, but they still had opportunities. But I was really pleased to see our kind of a new sort of resolve and how we kind of just stayed together, kept our heads up, kept ploughing away, and we ground that result out a few months ago or even last season. That's a sort of game that we would have kind of folded and lost. So I was pleased to see that. And when you go on a run of wins, you know, there's going to be games where you have to ride your luck and kind of get a few lucky wins, as it were. And we had a couple of moments of quality from Mason Mount. Kepa putting in one of his best performances in a Chelsea shirt, and you get the 3 points and the winning streak goes on. I mean, we're not going to go into the game in too much detail, mate, but what did you make of Sunday, and particularly obviously Mount and Kepa, because those were big performances, basically game winning.
Yeah, it really was just Mount and Kepa, and everyone else is a bit disappointing or average in that regard. Like, it was our first game without Reece James due to injury, and it felt like it showed. Sterling at right wing back definitely wasn't the right move, but I think Tuchel noticed that as well. We pushed him further forward, and he was a bit better. Do think like his form has dropped off a little bit over the last few games, but I have confidence in the likes of Sterling and Aubameyang that they can get back into form. And I don't even think Aubameyang was that bad. Just think he didn't really have a lot of service. You know what you need to do with Aubameyang. You need to feed him chances. And we just weren't really doing that. As a squad, like, we definitely struggled. It's the first game where we asked Kepa to get tested, and he passed the test. He saved us. He was my man of the match personally, because I get Mount scored the goals, but Kepa wins us that game. We go into halftime with a 2 or 3-1 loss if Kepa isn't starting, in my opinion. And Mount's goals and everything, they were good, and I do think Mason Mount played really well. He was our only real shining light in the midfield, but both goals involved errors, and I think we just did well on that regard to deal with them in the moment. Mount's free kick was good. It was good, but the stepping from the goalkeeper was a madness. Like, we would have looked at that as an error if that was Kepa, for example. We'll take it, though. 2-0 win. Still confidence building, I guess, but the performance took a big step back from the way we were playing over the last few games. We were a lot more dominant. We were a lot more better in terms of our chance creation.
I'll totally agree with that. But were you surprised how much that left-hand side defensively really struggled in that first half, particularly Cucurella and Chilwell? That left-hand side of defence was really struggling. You know, Villa were getting in behind Cucurella quite a lot. He looked all out of sorts. I know he can play left centre-back, and I'm not saying he can't do it, but that was a particularly bad day for him. I didn't think Chilwell had a particularly good game either. I mean, arguably, they could have both been subbed off at half-time, but are you surprised at how badly that left-hand side defensively suffered? Because it was a bit of a concern for me.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Maybe we'll put it down to Leon Bailey and Jacob Ramsey having a good game in themselves, because Villa will be kicking themselves that they didn't get more out of that game. But yeah, it was uncharacteristically poor from Cucurella, because he's usually been so solid for us this season. That's why I'm not saying too much about it. I think a lot of people are criticizing him way too harshly, especially on the timeline today. It was a madness. But I'm not going to say too much about it, because I know he's performed consistently enough this season. Chilwell, like, is frustrating, but we already know he's going to take a lot more time to come back mentally from that ACL injury. I think people just need to be a bit more patient with him. He's going to have poor decision-making. He's going to be slow in-game. His in-game management isn't going to be good. But give him time, and maybe he'll come back to being better. At the very least, we have the likes of Cucurella, so we don't have to worry about it as much. Before that, it would have been Chilwell or Alonso, and people would have really been struggling in that regard. So we have upgraded a little bit, even if Chilwell is still having his problems. But give him time. It's more understandable. I would be very surprised if he's the same level of wing back in a year. I'm sure he'll be a much better player by then.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I agree with you. But then there's always that kind of worry in the back of your mind that when you have like a long-term injury, like an ACL, like, is that player ever going to reach the levels that they did pre-injury or before? And we've seen it in the past with a lot of players. You can come back, but then others come back and they just don't quite reach the level they were at before. I'm not suggesting Chilwell's not going to rediscover that form, but it's always a worry. And these things do take a long time. So people just got to be patient with it. But as you said, you know, it doesn't really matter how long he takes, because by signing Cucurella, it gives him all the time he needs to build his fitness back up. But yeah, I thought that, again, another impressive thing was how well Graham Potter used the squad and used the bench on the weekend. You know, he wasn't afraid. You know, 3 changes inside the hour mark, two subs at half time, and I felt that the changes really kind of influenced the game in a positive way. Koulibaly coming on, I feel he should have started, but that tightened things up defensively a lot. Getting Sterling out of that right wing back role was a must. I think Potter's in-game management seems to be really good. Are you? I know we've talked about this before, but are you impressed with how his in-game management has been in his reign in general, but particularly on Sunday? Because I felt the subs he made really made a difference.
Yeah, I think also as well, like with the amount of fixtures that we have coming up, these sorts of substitutions and this understanding of management in game is going to be key for us. Did very well in Aston Villa. Like, he was probably the second biggest reason why we won the game, because he helped solidify the team in the second half. Substitutions were completely correct. Koulibaly shut down the right-hand side. Jorginho helped us regain control. Gallagher gave us a bit more energy in attack. Broja didn't really have too much time to do anything, but still nice to see him on the pitch, I guess. But his game management's been good, really good, especially in game, and we've seen us dominate games more as the game progresses as a result of that. And yeah, I think he's done really well. Obviously, the biggest test will be after our first setback, but for right now, we're kicking. We're doing really well.
Yeah, but it's nice to see, and it feels like it's been such a long time since we actually went on a run of wins in a row. I mean, 5 wins in a row is good, but it shouldn't be something we're kind of celebrating as Chelsea fans. But you know, it's been hard times in the recent past, you know, and we got to enjoy these moments. I mean, we will lose at some point, and as you say, you know, the first real test will be how we react from a loss under Potter. See what reaction we can get. But I mean, hopefully that doesn't come tomorrow night or too soon. But that's going to be a big test.
Sorry. Like, I just took one look on Twitter. I probably should bring this up. Yeah. N'Golo Kante has undergone an operation on his hamstring, and he will be out for 4 months.
Oh, fuck yeah! No.
So we need a midfielder in January.
We do. I mean, we knew that. We knew that anyway, and it's just an extra month, isn't it? On like, yeah, we need for me, I don't even consider. I know it sounds a bit disrespectful given what he's done for the club, but right now, I don't even think of Kante when I'm thinking of a Chelsea squad. He's just never available.
I will say though, like this is. I'm sorry to say this on N'Golo Kante, but the nerve of asking for a 3+1 year deal when this is your availability, like, really?
Yeah, it's not on. To be fair, I think a good thing that's happened is that, like, thank God that we had new owners come in potentially, because under Roman, that contract would have been signed, I reckon. They were really close to agreeing the terms on it. So thank God that didn't happen. But yeah, as you say, you know, we need to sign a midfield player in January, because, mate, I'd be surprised if Kante played 10 games for us this season. He's done 1.5.
His availability's just got worse and worse.
It's terrible. I'm like, people can't keep calling him a key player. You can't be a key player if you're missing 40-50% of your club's games. You're not a key player. Like, it's as simple as that for me. You know, part of football is making yourself available. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you can't be available, then there's no point having all the talent in the world, because you can never showcase it. And unfortunately, he's like a prime example at the moment. You know, at least we've got some really good years out of him, and he's done fantastic for the club. But it is sad to see the demise and how he can't keep himself fit and his body's letting him down. But at the end of the day, you know, there's no sentiment in football. And I think it's best that, you know, that we can't offer him a new deal. We simply can't, unless it's like a pay-as-you-play
one or something. Or that would be acceptable with a pay cut as well.
Yeah, or a pay-as-you-play. You know, look, N'Golo, you can't...
even for legend status, give him the same wages if he wants that. But like, 3+1 is so stupid.
It's mad,
because he will keep declining as a player as well. 1+1 if you want. 2+1 at a push, and I would still feel a bit iffy about it, but I would allow it personally. 3+1 is craziness, because you cannot tell me by that third year he will be the same player.
Mate, he'll be like 34. But yeah, it's just not happening. It's sad to see, but yeah, it's just a no-go. We've got to move on from Kante now. It's as simple as that. And I think this further accelerates us needing to buy a midfield player. It really does. I mean, I know we've got Dennis Zakaria, but I don't think he's going to play a game for Chelsea. I think he'll be sent back to Juventus in January. You know, he's fit to play. Potter was asked about it today in the press conference, and he was just saying, yeah, he's working hard and he's waiting for his opportunities. I don't think he's going to get an opportunity. You know, we're light in midfield as it is. We've got 3 options in Jorginho, Kovacic, and Ruben. And
now we're pushing Ruben to the wings at some point because of his Kante injury.
And now... And Zakaria still can't play. So I just don't think he fits in with what Potter wants from Chelsea. I just don't think he's going to play for us, which is a shame because I would like to see what he can do, but we're probably not going to get an opportunity to see that. But yeah, the Kante news not great, but I guess we kind of expected it. We saw it coming. But moving on to tomorrow night, mate. Trip to Brentford, always tough. It was a real tough one last year. Mendy had a masterclass. He kept us in that game. Chilwell with the winner. Ivan Toney's on good form. Brentford are a physical side. They do play nice football. It's a hard place to go. We're going for what? 6 wins in a row in all competitions. So, you know, we form's on our side, but it's going to be a tricky task. How much rotation are you expecting from Sunday? Because the last time we played sort of weekend Tuesday, we had 7 changes before the Wolves game. Would you expect that many changes again?
Maybe, because we were speaking about this backstage as well, but we're going off a game on Wednesday night to a game on Saturday night, 2 days rest, and then you're going from a game on Saturday night to a game on Tuesday afternoon, and that's going to be another 2-3 days rest. We have to rotate, and the other 2 games are probably tougher and of more importance than this one, because we still got to maintain our position in the Champions League. We can't drop points now that we've only just got to first place. United is 4th v 5th. We need to start opening a gap on that sooner rather than later. Brentford isn't going to be easy. Like, they've got a good home record. 10 points out their last 15. Average 2 goals a game at home. Only game they've really been dominated in was the Arsenal game. Other than that, they've been very tough to beat. It's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough for us. And well, I'm sure we're capable of getting a win, but that Villa game didn't fill me with the highest of confidence. And we are going to have to rotate now as well. You might not see our best players play that game. Silva will probably be rested. Kovacic will probably be rested. Mount could be rested. Aubameyang, Sterling could both be rested as well. Sterling, I think, played the full 90, so I'd expect him to be rested.
He literally, well, he virtually did. He come off, Brozier come on from him about 2 minutes to go. But yeah, essentially a whole game. So yeah, there's going to be decisions for Potter to make. I mean, who do you think deserves a start? I mean, look, I can't believe I'm sort of championing for Christian Pulisic to start for Chelsea, but I'm not his biggest fan. But since the game against Wolves, where he's done really well, he hasn't played a single minute. And I think he deserves an opportunity. Do you think tomorrow night could be an opportunity? Is that a game that would you start him in this game?
There's no excuse for him not to start. I didn't get why he didn't start the Villa game, but to me it was like, okay, if he starts the Brentford game, I don't care because there he's had his start. But play him in this game. I think Conor Gallagher should be starting this game. I think throw Havertz out for the full 90. So doesn't play the United game. Jorginho, because he started.
He's going to have to, yeah.
I mean, he came off the bench. Koulibaly as well. Silva has to be rested. I think Chalobah goes back in again. The left side, I don't know.
There's a problem the left side.
Did Chilwell come off or Cucurella?
No, Cucurella came off at half-time for Koulibaly.
And then Cucurella in. And
I think I'd probably rest
but...
Chilwell. Yeah, I mean, do you think we'll stick with a 3 or do you think we could go with a 4? Because if he rests Thiago Silva, you'd almost be more inclined to go with a 4 with Koulibaly and Chalobah, and then play
Aspie has to come back in too.
Because then you could play Aspie as a right back, and Aspie at right back in a 4 is not terrible. I mean, to be fair, I actually think he did all right when he came on against Villa at half time. I don't think he did that badly. So in a flat 4, I'd start Aspie. I perhaps would be more inclined to go Azpilicueta, Chalobah, Koulibaly, and then Cucurella at left back. I think that could be a little bit easier because then you could play Jorginho perhaps holding. You could have Ruben and Gallagher as 8s or something if you wanted to rest Mount, and then you could play Pulisic, Havertz, and Aubameyang or Brozier or whatever. I mean, would you prefer a 4 or a 3?
I wasn't really too sure, but like now we've been speaking about it, I think a 4 does make more sense. I'd go for that same back 4.
Yeah.
Try and see if we could sub Cucurella off at halftime for Chilwell and then maybe have him ready for the Man United game. Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Gallagher, I think that would be the midfield 3 that we would see. I want Brozier to get a start. I'm not too sure whether he would, but I don't think there's many other opportunities other than this. No. The last game in the Champions League, if we're guaranteed group winners, or City in the Cup. which is still like not really the best game you want to give someone their debut for. But yeah, maybe Brentford would be right because it's a physical side too. He's a physical player. I actually, now I think about it, Broja should be starting this sort of game. So yeah, Broja, Pulisic on the left. And yeah, Ziyech wouldn't start, so I'll probably
Ziyech is done. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what he does. Obviously, Ivan Toney's going to be tough to deal with. He scored a fair few goals this season, got 2 last time out against Brighton, so he's in good form. I mean, how do you see us handling him? I mean, if Thiago Silva is rested, it's going to be a tricky night for the likes of Koulibaly and Chalobah if they start in a 4 together to handle him. I mean, do you think we've got the quality to keep him quiet, because he is the main weapon, really? I know they've got the likes of Mikkel Damsgaard as well, who's a good player, and whatnot. And they've got some talented boys, but he's kind of their standout guy, and he's going to cause us problems.
Yep, I am not looking forward to seeing how we deal with Brentford's attacks because, we saw how it worked last time. Absolutely spanked on the counter attack.
Yeah.
And with the rotations and everything, Brentford don't need to rotate. They don't have the same fixture list that we do. They'll be fine. I don't know. I expect us to struggle in this game. I think we can win. Like, just because we struggle doesn't mean that we can't win the game. But I don't think it's going to be convincing, and I think it's going to be a tricky game for us. We could lose, but we also could win. So I don't know. I'll say 1-0 just for the sake of confidence. But even if we keep a clean sheet, I would be very surprised and proud of the team as well, because it's going to be a tough performance. There's a lot against us going into this.
Mate, if we kept a clean sheet, that'll be 5 in a row. That's not,
because if we do that, the United game, I'm confident for, because their depth is atrocious.
Yeah,
you see their bench for the last game.
Mate, it's terrible, and they've got Tottenham tomorrow night as well. So they're going to go. They'll go stronger they'd have to go pretty strong for that, and then they got us as well. So it's like you'd expect us to be a little bit fresher for the game on Saturday compared to them. But obviously, you never know how it's going to work out. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a physical night. I mean, I'd take a 1-0, but I mean, defensively, we're looking a lot better now. I know, we gave up a lot of chances against Villa, but we still didn't let them score. So yeah,
I don't know.
I think
our defense has been a bit fugazi still. We give up a lot of chances. We do.
Yeah, we do. I think that's one thing we've got to improve on. Despite the fact we're keeping clean sheets, we are conceding.
That Villa game, everybody was sloppy.
We could have it wouldn't have been unfair if we'd gone in at half time like 3-1 down.
That's why, to me, Kepa was the man of the match and not
Mount.
He
was. Yeah, no, he was.
There was no reason for us to have a clean sheet that game.
No, we didn't deserve it. They had so many chances. I can't believe we didn't concede in that game. And you can put it down to Kepa, you could put it down to poor finishing from Villa, but I think Villa, to be honest, should feel a little bit hard done by. They didn't get anything out of the game.
Like the Danny Ings point blank save, bro.
Yeah,
that was there in front of him.
Yeah.
That's why it's like you can't even be. It was a brilliant performance from Kepa, and it's like I've spent so many games saying that he played well, but he didn't have to do anything. It's like no.
This game we don't win this game. We don't win this game if Kepa doesn't perform that well. It's as simple as that.
Be real about it. If Mendy played, I don't think it's the same scoreline.
That's what I was about to say, and then I sort of held it back slightly. But I don't agree,
blame you. I'm thinking the same thing. His form has been so bad. It's like, don't even know if you have the confidence for that sort of stuff right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think he does. But I mean, it's going to be a tough night. I'm looking forward to it. We'll both be there. Should be a good occasion. But as long as we can get the win, get another 3 points, because as we say, we don't want to fall too many points behind Arsenal. Like I know that sounds mad, but they're 4 points clear at the top already. But mate, we win tomorrow night, we go 1 point behind Man City. That's mad. Like
but we also have a game in hand on them, so I'll take it for what it is. But Arsenal escaped the battering tomorrow by Man City because of that Europa League game getting moved, which is long, but just delaying the inevitable. It's cool.
No, their time will come. They'll slip down and they'll lose a few games. But yeah, it's important. As I said before, that second place is potentially up for grabs. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but there's no other standout team other than Man City. So the second place is up for grabs. So I think games like this are important to win if we want to if we want to finish kind of in second, I know you can argue that second, third, fourth doesn't really matter because you don't win the league. That is true. But I suppose you'd rather finish second than finish fourth, I guess. But it's there and it's up for grabs. But yeah, it should be good night tomorrow. I mean, you're going for a 1-0, yeah?
No, I'm gonna say 2-1. 2-1. I think we will concede, but 2-1 will win.
Yeah, I was thinking of 2-1 as well. We're actually scoring a few goals at the moment. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1. I think the clean sheet run will come to an end, but 2-1 and 3 more points heading into Saturday. But yeah, that seems like a good point to round out this episode. Guys, please make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you again in the next episode soon. But until then, up the Chelsea.